see if...
Give me a little talkie. Talkie. Taki Roomba.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Meet Cute Box podcast. If you haven't heard of us, my wife and I started a business called Meet Cute Box, where each month you and your partner receive a custom date night box filled with unique items from local businesses around the world. Our goal with our business is to make relationships even better while helping small businesses. But on this show, we plan to research relationship advice, share stories of our marriage, and much more. We appreciate you listening. Hope you'll subscribe and tell a friend. Enjoy the show. Hello, and happy day to all you couples out there. Welcome to the Meet Cute Box podcast. I am your host, Tony Berardo, and as always, I am joined with my co-host and lovely wife, Brenda Berardo. Hello, love.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
See, this take two is way more natural.
How are you?
I'm actually doing pretty well. I appreciate you asking.
Good.
This is episode 2. Very exciting. What's cool about our podcast, if you don't know, is, we started a company, Meet Cute Box, and Meet Cute Box is a themed date night box that you and your couple receive a new themed date night every single month. Each box is filled with unique items from local businesses all around the world. And we are in our third month, pretty much, coming up on July, our third month in business. And we're very excited. So we wanted to start this podcast to kind of give some dating tips, maybe research some relationship advice and all that jazz. So we're having some fun doing this, yes?
Yes, I would say so.
Yes. And if you haven't already, check out meetcutebox.com/sign-up to see what is new this month and to get your themed date night box. If you want, follow us on Instagram at meetcutebox, and that's everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, etc. Give us the hashtag podcast. So DM us the podcast. We're going to hook you up with 20% off your first box. What? Are you kidding me? That is unbelievable. Thank you, everybody who's applauding right now. I'm kidding. That's a soundboard. That's not real humans. But this week, we're going to be talking about dating advice that you should know. So if you're maybe starting a relationship or if you're just getting on that Tinder train, first of all, get off Tinder. But, if you're on maybe...
There's been some success stories off Tinder.
There
you
is.
just got to be careful,
That's right. Well, especially after watching that Netflix. Oof.
Yeah.
What was that show about Tinder?
Tinder swindler. Scamming people of millions of dollars.
What a catchy name, though.
Yeah, Tinder swindler.
Yes.
He's still doing his thing.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Way to be.
He did it in the most legal way possible to where they can't really prosecute him, which is so strange.
That is strange.
Because nothing's under his name. It's under these women's names, and they're the ones that stay in the debt, and he's just living the luxury life.
So I guess if you are going to go on Tinder, just don't give up all your personal information and your bank information.
And the second that they ask for $10,000, maybe don't.
Maybe don't. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. This week, we're going to be talking about dating advice you should know. Dear, why don't you get us started? Do you feel like you're in grade school again?
Yeah. When they go around and you're reading like a chapter.
A paragraph of each one.
Yeah. And then you're like anxiety, 3 people in front of you, and you hope that the bell rings because then it won't be your turn.
Except there's not 3, it's just thousands of people listening. But the good news is with these, with each podcast, this is the research we've done for these specific topics, and then we'll add our 2 cents to each one. So because we're not relationship experts.
We are not.
I don't want to give you
We do have experience, but not experts.
And only experience really in our relationship. Because the other ones didn't really work out very well.
Well, that's where experience comes in.
Yes.
Where, each one of those relationships, you're like, yeah, check. I don't want that.
Trial and error. I like it.
Yes. All right. Dating advice you should know. It's quite safe to say that most people don't know how to successfully date or even be with the person they are actually interested in. Although most inevitably realize there's no golden path to pursuing or maintaining a relationship, there are many types of advice to adhere to that make the process of finding that special someone all the better.
That is true. And I think there's only 4 here. So just 4 quick little steps. It won't take long, nothing crazy. But first one here is do not fall for potential. A crucial element of successful dating is not to be enamored with someone's potential. As everyone has faults, they are constantly trying to improve themselves, whether in a relationship or single. And I think that's true, but a lot of us don't want to admit, right, that we have flaws. But everyone's got flaws.
Absolutely.
So I think like as you're starting to date people, you gotta be excited to see the flaws because there are flaws, and when people don't.
Well, everyone's in hiding for several months in the beginning stages.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, can't do that.
Right, exactly.
Don't do that.
You're not showing your true self, pretty much.
No, not yet.
It's like us. You didn't show your true self.
Wow.
You got super weird after like 2 months. Then I was like, oh fuck, is this how she
it took
is?
2 months to hook it in, and then I was like, hello,
nurse.
But you're also weird, and it also came out at the same time, so it was really comforting.
Yeah, it made sense. It continues to say, yet there are many aspirations and goals that people should be actively striving for or have already reached prior to getting involved with someone romantically. This applies to professional and personal pursuits alike. Yeah.
I gotta sneeze.
Sneeze. I added the chime when you sneeze. I'm having way too much fun with this. All right, next up it says, believe someone when they try to show you themselves. If something behaves, looks, and quacks like a duck, it's more than likely a effing duck. When someone shows you they are inattentive, inconsiderate of your schedule, or controlling, you should trust them. Although you're likely to be attracted to them, they aren't the best relationship candidate. Therefore, it's best to cut all ties before you get too invested emotionally. Ooh, Betsy. I think we all could agree with that one, eh, babe?
Uh-huh.
Did you have some issues back in the Dizzy?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Do you have time to tell us?
Oh, yes, all the time in the world. Let's see, where do I begin? I've definitely had relationships where there was definitely some red flags that basically slapped me in my face, threw me down a hill, and yet there I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, those things where they're a little bit manipulative, controlling, overly jealous,
Right.
apologetic, so you think that they're gonna, oh, it was just a moment, you got heated.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dragged an ex with a car before. It's happened.
Literally dragged him.
Literally.
Yeah.
He held onto the doors, and I just heard his flip-flops going across the parking lot, and I was like, well, he's either gonna bust his ass, and I'm gonna drag him, probably kill him, and was it worth it? Because he had a jealous episode. He argued with me for 12 hours over something that was out of my control.
That's crazy. But then yet, you get back with him a couple days later. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like 3 weeks in, I think.
Into the relationship?
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, that's an early
It's
red
wild.
flag.
But then it's like they, I'm sure that brings it into, the next topic that we fall into.
Maybe.
Manipulation.
Yeah. And
How
it's
about
weird that
you?
you don't. Oh, yeah, I definitely had my fair share. One of them even is codenamed Psycho Sally.
I love stories from Psycho Sally.
Yeah. Well, this bitch was wild. She just didn't. She was the master manipulator. She was the one that I did what I could to work as much as I could, and work on myself and work on it. But everything was acceptable for her until like we started drinking and partying and having a good time. And then like little things that I would do, whether it's not really looking at a girl, but if I was looking at a girl, she would, say something and then pull up like shit that I fucked up on in the past. And she's like, I stayed with you because you did this and this, and this is what I do for you. And like, what are you doing for me? This is how you show me. And then I'm like, wait, am I doing something wrong? I thought I was doing everything right. Maybe I wasn't. And then she was just a really good manipulator. Yeah. And then, of course, I would manipulate her unintentionally, obviously. But looking back on it, we definitely just were horrible for each other. Mm-hmm. So, she's probably calling me, Toxic Tony or something. I don't know.
I don't think she would be that clever. Psycho Sally is definitely catchy.
It sticks, for sure.
It definitely stuck.
Yeah. But, yeah, that was wild. And, I was with her. This is one of my longest relationships. That's what's so funny about it.
Yeah.
But you don't realize it until you're far away from it. I think that also has to do with like being in your 20s. So if you're 20 and you're listening to us out there, you're probably in a shitty relationship, and this podcast is not going to help you. Well, this podcast isn't going to help you because you're not going to listen to it. You're just going to be like, not Jason.
Because they're still in that bubble. And then once they get out of it in like 3 or 4 years, you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. And
That when you see it from the perspective and you give yourself time and you look back and you're like, Jesus, I would, if I were to go back to myself in my early 20s, even mid 20s, like even up to like 2 years before meeting you, I'd literally knock myself out. You fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Can
That's
I
crazy.
say fuck? I'm going to say fuck.
Yeah, I think we can curse on
Yeah,
here. Fuck
fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of wild too, just because, again, I think a lot of it has to do with once you hit 30. It's true what they say. Because when you hit 30, you just start seeing things differently. I don't know if it's because you're like, oh man, 30 years from now, think subconsciously, another 30 years, you should be retired, essentially. So maybe like when you hit 30, you're like, oh, I'm halfway to where I should be. So if you're not happy when you're 30, odds are it's going to be a rough next 30 years.
I don't necessarily believe that.
No?
I just think when you're in your early 20s, I mean, your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25.
That's right.
So you're still growing and maturing and figuring things out, and you're just kind of thrown into the deep end and hope you can swim type of scenario.
Yeah.
But men also mature a lot slower than women. So I feel like these people that, get in those relationships early on, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to marry this person. I'm like, girl, you're 22.
You don't know
By the
shit.
time you're 25, you're going to hate his guts. Like you really are.
That's right.
You're going to grow differently. You're going to be in a different spot. He's going to be still acting like he's 21. And those are like prime years. Go party.
Yeah.
Go have a good time.
Yeah, you should be making a lot of mistakes when you're in your 20s. Yeah. And then,
You hit your 30s and then you're like, all right, now it's not acceptable to, be blacked out walking around. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's also the pressure of like, everyone says that you should have your shit together.
Well, yeah,
or always
everybody
like,
says there's a timeline.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
No.
When you're ready, you're ready.
That's it. And that kind of leads us to the next one is during this time where you're dating and in relationships, avoid manipulation.
There are a number of personality traits that are clear red flags to avoid. No one is perfect, but when someone says they're sorry for something they did but don't change their behavior, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Wow. It's a clear sign of manipulation. It's just as important to keep yourself away from manipulation and balance your emotions. The person you're interested in should be invested based on just how much they invest in you mutually. If you allow your feelings to lead you on, you're putting yourself at risk to be taken advantage of. No matter how much you believe someone is interested or how much you are interested in someone, they obviously don't like you in the way you think if they haven't tried to actively pursue a relationship. Ooh, I got a good one for that.
Yeah, very true. Go ahead. What you got?
No, it's just very true where I was in a relationship before to where you're literally doing everything to make it work. Okay, I'm doing this, that. I just don't understand why you're not invested. I don't get it. Why are you not invested? And it's like they always have a foot out the door. But you try because you think, they're like, oh, it's just right now. That's just the way they are. They're not that affectionate. And it's just like, no, should have left.
Yeah.
Gut feeling.
Yeah. And you
But
just don't see it.
You don't. And they talk to you and manipulate you and make you feel like they'll do for like 2 days, they'll be good. And then 3 shitty days and you're like, oh my God, we're back to school. And then they come back and it's just like this vicious cycle.
Yeah, that's so true. It's all about timing too. And that kind of leads us to the next one is practice self-care. And I really relate to this one a lot because, if you're not focusing on yourself first, it's like that old saying, right? Where if the plane's going down, put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on your spouse. The same concept is you can't have a successful dating life or a good relationship if you're not practicing self-care, if you don't care about yourself. And I feel like we met at a good time where I spent years focusing on myself, staying at home, not going out. I moved out of my roommates and I really focused on myself. I worked out a lot. I ate the right things. I just practiced self-care. And eventually good things happen if you do that.
Yeah.
It says here, remember that individuals won't see any value in you if you fail to see meaningful value in yourself. Ooh, that's a good one. When you're able to care for yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally, you're demonstrating just how you expect others to treat you. Be confident, well-rounded, and approachable. This will draw others who are attracted to such traits. Be with a person who celebrates such character qualities and reciprocate the energy. You need to look for an individual that is able to keep their insecurity and self-esteem in check so that doesn't interfere with the relationship. What you think?
I mean, that last part, no matter what, people are going to have their insecurity and self-esteem.
Sure.
To keep it in check, I feel like is something that you do in the dating aspect of things.
Right.
Once you're, in a long-term relationship, obviously there's things I'm insecure about, there's things you're insecure about, and
Totally.
you just have to amp it up and vice versa.
Yeah.
I feel like keeping it in check.
Yeah. Well, this is all dating. Mm-hmm. So like dating, I would assume, it doesn't say here, but I would assume like dating is 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. And then once you get into that relationship, then it's a little bit different where you can kind of get loosey-goosey. But like when you're first dating, you definitely want to have you don't want to show up and say, like I go up and I go, hey, oh my God, Brenda, you look so pretty. Thanks for coming on this date. You look gorgeous. And you're like, it's okay. My hair's kind of stupid. Like what's that Friends episode? Remember when John Lovitz, Jennifer Aniston and John Lovitz are on that date? You remember? And he goes, wow, you're really pretty. And she goes, aw, thanks. And he goes, I'm kind of funny looking.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
But you're probably thinking, oh, he's not that good looking, but maybe he's funny. I might have a few laughs. Well, that's not going to happen. That to me is the perfect example of first date. Don't keep your shit in check.
But I got to tell you, sometimes I'm guilty of that.
Do tell.
If somebody were to compliment me, and I just think it's a defense mechanism where, like let's just say, I think this has happened to me. I can kind of recall it, but you show up somewhere, it was humid outside, I think it was raining or something, and they say, oh, wow, you look great. And I'm like, ugh, I wish this humidity wasn't.
Right.
But that's not so much of like showing I could see how it could come off that way. Me speaking honestly,
right.
I'm just saying I'm annoyed at the fact that it's humid outside. I did take the time to get ready, and now my hair looks like shit.
Yeah, that's right.
If you unpack what I just said.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just feel like I don't have a filter when it comes to those things, and I feel like there's a lot of girls like that just because it's hard to get complimented.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's a lot of girls that just don't know how to
I don't know how to receive a compliment.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
How to take
it.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's definitely a thing for sure.
It's literally like the New Girl episode. What? You're stupid. That's straight up insane.
You're dumb. What?
Yeah. You're dumb.
Always be positive. It simply isn't realistic to stay positive all the time. Yet, you need to try your best to keep a positive mindset when dating.
Do not allow your negative experiences from the past to interfere with your current relationship by giving a date the unwanted impression of guarding. Remember to have a fun time, maintain the necessary boundaries, but show off your playful, friendly side when on the search for the right person.
This was very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have to agree.
But yeah, that, again, these are just a couple tips just to kind of get you on the right track to dating. And here's the thing I would say about dating is everyone should date. But the big thing for me, at least with dating, is every single relationship you're in, every single date that you go on, every single person that you try to interact with, just forget about everything else from the previous relationship. That's one thing it doesn't say in there. When you're dating, you can't be like, oh, this first date isn't as good as my last first date, or this date is better than my last one. Like, you just don't compare dates. Ever. Because then you're going to get in this, vicious cycle of like, this person has this quality that's better than the other person, and then you're going to resent the other person, and you don't want to get involved with that.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
Although, again, bringing back to watching those, what is the first one? Do not fall for potential type of things. There are some characteristics that they can show pretty immediately that you can be like, that was fun, but deuces. I'll never see you again.
Before we leave the audience, is there a couple things that are red flags, like date one? Like it's like, oh, I got to look out for it.
Like date one?
Yeah. What do you think?
If his card gets declined, run. Run for the hills.
That's a good one.
Any bit of jealousy, you can kind of work with it, but if it's on the first date and they're showing a little,
I look at the waitress or something, or I smile, and already you're like, what the fuck was that?
Giving the stank eye.
Yeah.
Don't want that either.
That's true.
No. Make sure he's a gentleman. Just keep your eyes open, your mind open, but also, tread lightly.
Yeah.
It's dangerous for all these women out there.
Yeah. And you got to remember, if you're a guy listening to this podcast, you got to think to yourself, women have it pretty rough.
It gets aggressive out there.
I always compare, I forget who said it, but there was a great stand-up skit. It might have been Joe Rogan. Imagine if a man goes on a date or he's walking down the street, there's a lion in the alley. That's what women feel like every single moment they're walking on the street. Men don't have that terrifying feeling of like, yeah, we're walking around and we're the only threat related to women. Men only have to worry about like heart disease. Like there's really but there are still a lot of crazy guys out there. So avoid the red flags and just be careful. Do the right things. Take care of yourself first and everything's going to be good. But my dear, thank you as always for joining me on the show. If you haven't already, check out meetcutebox.com where you and your partner can get a themed date night every single month delivered right to your door. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.